Well. Yeah, this might be weird, but to see us back again, but we are officially back. Episode 41 of Pinstripe Press. If you don't remember, my name is Ryan. His name is Mike, and we're here to talk about Yankees.
The Yankees are now 28-time World Series champions. Just kidding. That was playoffs were something. Obviously, we haven't talked to you guys in quite a while, and we all know how last season ended, but we're excited to be back and talking about the Yankees, which we love to do. With the regular season starting today.
Like you said, it's been a wild ride so far throughout the course of last season and then this season. So I guess just breaking down from the last time we've talked and been on this show and how last season went. Obviously, getting to the World Series. To experience that was definitely a roller coaster of emotions, and then obviously the way it ended, definitely a disappointment, losing it in 5 games. Obviously, you could argue there were some chances the team had to pull away from that, but I guess just what were your thoughts just reflecting on this past season? Obviously had Soto, and obviously he's a New York Met now, but I guess overall, what were your thoughts for the 2024 Yankees?
I mean, to be honest, it was an extremely memorable season. One that, I'll never forget as a fan. Going to the World Series for the first time since we won it back in 2009. And, the playoff run to get there was magical with Soto and Stanton going crazy. So many insane moments, which, we couldn't share with you, but, just watching those games, incredible memories. Obviously didn't end up how we wanted it, but obviously you got to say that's a successful season. Where we're looking at now, though, is, can we replicate that? Can we, go back to the World Series, which is our goal every year? And now we are doing it without one of the top, 10 players, well, maybe even top 5 players in baseball. And that's not to mention some of the injuries we got going on right now. But, overall, really successful season. And as much as we may hate Juan Soto right now, you got to say he provided us with some insane memories.
Yeah, he essentially sent us to the World Series in that ALCS game with that homer. But it sucks that we lost him. It was a lot of money. I think whatever team got him, it would be a large contract to take on either way. You hate to lose him because, like you just referred to, he brought a lot of great moments to the team, and it's a big shoes to fill right now. I mean, obviously, looking at the acquisitions we did get with Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, 2 guys that have obviously built a name for themselves and won MVPs, but again, Soto, like you said, one of the top guys in the league. So definitely we need, especially with the injuries we'll get into, we definitely need the offense to pick up their end of the slack here.
Yeah, if we're talking about the offseason as a whole, you can't be too upset with it. Like if you look at our 4 main acquisitions, you got Devin Williams, all-star closer, arguably, a top 2 closer in the league. And then you get Max Fried, a guy who's sitting at around a 3 ERA every single season. And then on the offensive side, you got Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, 2 former MVPs, obviously not in their MVP forms anymore. But, these are 4, huge names. As on the offensive side, if you're just talking about Goldschmidt, and Bellinger. Do they replace Juan Soto? No. Do they do some of it? Sure. But, I think it's fair to say we don't have the offensive firepower that we did last season. And we're expecting to get the most out of the guys like Bellinger and Goldschmidt, which we are not sure we can count on because, Bellinger has had his ups and downs. And Goldschmidt obviously had a really poor 2024. We're taking some risks on some guys. But yeah, I guess we will see how this season goes. Obviously, we'll also be without Stanton for a while with his injury.
Yeah, that's a big injury for Stanton, and obviously, I mean, what's the timetable for that looking? Because I know they said if he did get surgery, he'd be out for the season. But is he expected to come back around June, July?
I'm actually not sure. Yeah, I do know that he would be out for the season if he did get surgery. I don't think they've made a decision on that yet. But what I'm seeing is that he's suffering setbacks with his tendonitis in his elbows. I can only imagine that even if he doesn't get surgery, it would be at least a few months without him.
And that leads to the concerns I have with the front office. It felt like they knew about they had to have known that this would come about, that Stanton would have this sort of injury. So I guess you ask, why didn't they go out and go get, another bat? Obviously, we had the questions with DJ LeMahieu. Obviously, he was in play for the third base spot. And as of today, March 26th, the day before opening day, we still aren't sure who is starting at third base for us. So with, those question marks, it's like, okay, why didn't we go get Alex Bregman? Why didn't we go get Arenado? It's like there definitely were, maybe not them, but, a right-handed bat that could prove it if, Stanton's going to be out. Okay, say he does come back July. Both of his elbows are in a severe position right now. So what's saying he does come back to the playoff self? He was. So it seems like these injuries have definitely taken a toll. But I guess you got to ask yourself, well, how how serious have the Yankees taken them? How much of a bounce back have they made to overcome these injuries? And I don't know if they have. I mean, they've obviously getting Fried, Bellinger, and Goldschmidt. You needed to get at least those guys. But now it's you're asking these guys to be at the top of their game, which they aren't in the prime seasons that they have been. I mean, along with that, obviously, you still at least have the bullpen. The bullpen has had some injuries, but I do like where it's at right now. Obviously, you do get Devin Williams, if not the top reliever, definitely top 2, top 3, and along with, Weaver. He's been obviously became a guy last season. So, I mean, to pair up with them two, and then hopefully Loaizaga could come back dealing. I mean, then you're looking at one of the top bullpens in the league, I think, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's not even to mention guys like Mark Leiter, Fernando Cruz, who we acquired as well. Our lefties being Tim Hill, who I believe had a 2 ERA with us last year. And then I think there's still a question who our second lefty is going to be. But, we signed Ryan Yarbrough, who could be that second lefty out of the bullpen. Tyler Matzik, another lefty that we signed. Brent Hedrick, another lefty. But, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of depth now, a lot of names we can trust, and still some injuries of guys that we can expect to come back. Ian Hamilton, maybe Scott Effross. Seems like he's always injured. But, yeah, the bullpen is looking pretty good. I think that's something that we can rely on this year. And wish we could say the same about the rotation. This is honestly just a shambles situation as far as a rotation. Like as far as I'm concerned, we don't necessarily know who's our fifth starter is as of right now. I mean, we could name a guy. I have a good guess of who it might be, but is that the guy that we want out there every fifth day? I don't know.
It's crazy because, when we signed Fried, you obviously see all the posts like, oh my gosh, Yankees got Cole, Fried, and Rodon. I mean, that 1-2-3 is insane. And now, cut to almost April opening day, Fried's the number one, and you still got Rodon, but he's got his question marks. And then it goes down to Stroman, who was on the verge of becoming a bullpen guy / the Yankees were trying to get anything they could to just trade him. Now all of a sudden he's starting day 3 of opening day, or the start of the season, along with Will Warren, who is up in the big leagues now. Who, I mean, last season, I mean, I'll be honest, I thought he would have gotten dealt at the deadline to get another big league guy because he did not have some great outings. And then obviously, Cookie Carrasco is now probably most likely going to be, another arm for us. So it's just been a wild off season from, guys that have left. Soto, and obviously, we haven't even said Gleyber Torres going to the Tigers, which we knew he was going to leave. But going from, losing some of those guys and then getting the guys we got to then, getting a lot of just injuries that have just definitely just taken a toll on this rotation. But I know me and you have talked, off the show about how this reminds us of last season at the start of the year when, Cole was also dealt with an injury and he missed a good chunk of the season. And, everyone pretty much got bumped up and just had to, next man up, next spot in the rotation. And, I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, if you remember the start of this season last year, they were playing insane. I mean, Stroman was looking great. Rodon, that's when Luis Gil, pretty much a full first year. And obviously he won Rookie of the Year. So it's like we had the injuries, but we are at the same spot, close to the same spot of the rotation as it was last year. But obviously you don't have Juan Soto on the offense to carry that slack. So definitely makes it a little bit more concerning to that end. But you did get Fried, so at least you do have that name, that ace type leverage there for him.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like going back to what you said, once we signed Fried, we were like, oh my God, we don't need Stroman anymore. He doesn't want to go to the bullpen. We're going to trade him. We have 6 starters. But, then he becomes our third starter. Cole goes down, getting TJ out for the season. Luis Gil out for at least a few months. Clark Schmidt out, I think, around a month or so. Obviously, we'll get Schmidt back and Gil back eventually. But in the meantime, we're looking at a guy as our 5th starter who hasn't, has been horrible last 2 seasons. Like with a 5-something ERA last year and about an 8 ERA the year prior in Carlos Carrasco as our 5th starter. And Will Warren, very unproven, had a couple of chances to pitch in the big leagues last year and, was pretty bad. That being said, I think, we can't be too, pessimistic about it. We still have Fried, who's obviously going to be locked down at the top of the rotation. And Carlos Rodon obviously has his flashes of brilliance. You'd hope for him to have a solid year. Marcus Stroman will be a starter, and honestly, if you can get a 4 ERA out of him, and even anything under that, that would be a plus. And Will Warren has looked good in spring training for the most part. There is some hope. It's just the depth, was nowhere near what we thought it to be. There's just really no other names that are in consideration. When you look at the other options, you've got guys like Chase Hampton are one of our prospects, another guy who's out for the year. JT Brubaker also injured. Clayton Beater is injured and also, being moved into a bullpen role. So yeah, the rotation is really lacking. But yeah, we'll see. I think if we get Schmidt and Heel back, we could be in an okay spot. But right now it's looking somewhat bleak.
It seems like every year the Yankees get hit with some injury bug. Obviously, usually it's the bullpen, but this year it just seems like that rotation has taken the biggest hit. And I mean, that leads to the question mark of the season. I think it's, can this team stay healthy, especially on that offensive side, because if they can stay healthy, I mean, this team definitely has the potential. I mean, you talked about the AL. If you look team by team versus the NL, it's statistically, it's worse. The AL is not as strong as the NL, and it's not as strong as it was last year. A lot of those top AL guys have moved over to the NL. So it's, it's not out of question that the Yankees could definitely get back to the ALCS, the World Series. I mean, as long as these guys can stay healthy, they definitely can string some things together. Obviously, like you said, we should get Luis Heel back, Clark Schmidt. They should come back in the summertime. And I feel like I feel like in today's game, you're seeing, the timetable switch. It's almost like, how important is the start of the season? It seems like a lot of these teams are just playing for the deadline. Once, you can get these trades going and, some of these guys come back from injury. So it's like, really, it's like that second half of the season is go time. So obviously you want to start off well, but I mean, look at the Yankees the past seasons. I mean, how great have they started in the April, Mays, the Junes, and then just completely fall off middle of summer, dog days of summer. So it's like, man, if some of these guys just take their time, recover, and we got these young guys, some of the young guys up with Dominguez, and Volpe should be getting some time. Obviously, Wells has been killing it, so obviously he's going to get some more times at DH. So it's like these young guys will get this experience here. Just let them play, and once we get some of the guys to help back in the summertime, I mean, there's definitely some avenues that Yankees could go down this year.
Yeah. Obviously, the popular pick right now to win the AL East is Boston. And I got to give it to them. They've gone out and improved their roster, with Garrett Crochet, notably him, adding the starting pitching that they needed. And, yeah, they still have a great offense, obviously adding Alex Bregman as well. They did what it takes, to earn, I guess, some respect. But I think you can't really count out the Yankees ever with Aaron Judge. This team still has the capability of winning this division and even, winning the entire American League. Then again, it's a very long season. We'll see how things go. There's definitely some questions still. But there are things to look forward to, notably in that lineup. Yeah, you're looking at your young guys, Wells and Dominguez. In my head, these are the two guys I'm most excited about. Wells has had an unbelievable spring. I think 6 home runs, and he's been leading off. He is announced that he's leading off for the regular season as well. And you've got Dominguez, who is, still a legitimate prospect, and, one of the guys that had so much hype around him and was honestly amazing when he first came up. So now we get to see him in a full workload over a full season. He could easily bring a huge spark to this lineup as well.
I think it's those young guys who are definitely going to have not the pressure, but like we're going to need Wells and Volpe and Dominguez to play up to expectations, because we don't have, like we keep saying, the Soto. And also, I mean, as much hate as Torres got, obviously in the field, and, he didn't play well, but at least hitting wise, he was our third best hitter. So, we knew what we were getting with him. So these guys are definitely going to have to lock in this year and play well, because we need them to. And obviously, like you alluded to, Wells has been playing great in the leadoff spot, and I'm hoping that he could just keep going to the regular season, because he's hitting the ball really well right now. And that's what I was saying is, like, if he continues that up, it's like, okay, his off days could just turn into him being DH, because his bat's been performing well. He can just hit in the DH spot, and then obviously the other days he can catch. But it's just, the young guys are definitely going to be the big marks that I think everyone should be looking forward to. Obviously, we'll get to finally see Dominguez up. Wells, we'll see how he can play after, last season, and Volpe, what role can he take going into this season. And then, I'm looking forward to seeing Bellinger. I've always loved his swing, and I've been asking for him to become a Yankee for 2 years now. So, we'll see it. How will he play? Obviously, everyone talks about that left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium. Obviously we saw Soto did it, but, Gallo came over, and, we know how that story went. So it's like, how can Bellinger's bat translate to Yankee Stadium? How can he play on the Yankees? Obviously Goldschmidt, these guys we got, how will they do? Will they perform? Will they not? There's, a lot of these older veteran guys that we got this year that, was different than the younger team we had in the past couple of years here. So definitely a lot of question marks. And I think that's the one thing with the Yankees this year is there's a lot of them. There's a lot of question marks, at least on the offensive side. And especially now with how these injuries have held up. I just said how, you look at the rotation and you compare it to last year's at the start of the year, and they're probably close neck and neck compared to injury-wise and who's stepping up. So if you take that, and obviously the rotation's great. It's been great for the past couple of years. So now you're just basically everything's even. Now you look at the offensive side. Last year's going into the season, obviously last year's offense is better than this upcoming season's offense. But that's just because there's so many question marks. Like I said, we don't know how Goldschmidt will play. We don't know how Bellinger will play. We don't know how Dominguez will play. And then can Wells continue to slash the way he is in spring training? And then can Volpe just completely just continue to pick up his play? Obviously, you have Jazz at second base. We get a full season of Jazz too. People aren't really talking about that as much. So there's a lot of question marks. And then obviously third base. And then Ben Rice, we're hearing he might get slot at DH. So it's just like, it's a lot of question marks, which makes it very exciting, but also, very scary to see, how this plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about Cody Bellinger. I think he's got a really crucial role in our lineup this year. He's going to be that 3-hole guy batting right behind Judge, and that is obviously Aaron Judge's, so-called protection. If he's hitting well, The pitcher's got to pitch to Judge, and Judge can do what he does. And yeah, I mean, that's what we need out of Bellinger. We need to see more of the 2023 version of Cody Bellinger, rather than last year. If we can get that, we'll be at least in a good spot, a good foundation for our offense. If we can get anything similar to what we're getting out of Austin Wells in spring training, if that carries over, we're in a good spot. He's going to be hitting leadoff homers. He's going to be hitting on base. After that, you're looking at probably Paul Goldschmidt in the 4. And then after that, it's kind of a mix and match. You're not really sure. You're looking at probably Jazz, Dominguez, Volpe, Rice, Cabrera, something like that. That middle of the order is full of question marks, but has the potential to be something special and add on to, the potentially, generational top 3 that we have, including Judge. Obviously with the loss of Gleyber Torres, Jazz moves over to second base, back to his, more natural position. And that leaves a hole at third base, where we're looking at Oswaldo Cabrera right now for him to be that main guy. I know we're still looking at potentially adding a righty bat, someone that could probably platoon with Cabrera at third base. But, the season starts tomorrow, so we don't know if that's going to happen whatsoever. It's, we keep saying it, but there's a bunch of question marks. The young guys need to step up. I really want to see a great year out of Volpe. He's shown some stretches of being fantastic. But, in his third full season, we want him to, become one of the guys that, we can rely on every day. Jazz Chisholm, I think it'll be great to see him over a full season. A lot of great names in this lineup, and I'm looking forward to it. Then again, we don't know how it's going to go, but I'm still very excited for the season. I can't wait for it to start. We got the Brewers starting tomorrow to open the season. Carlos Rodon on the bump. Everything's kicking off.
I like it. I'm really looking forward to this season, and I guess this will lead us into kind of like our last segment here is just expectations. I really think this team could be special. I mean, I feel like they're kind of getting a lot of hate. A lot of people are counting them out. Obviously, the Red Sox were just selected as a prediction for who will win the AL East by MLB.com. So it seems like the Yankees are already getting counted out, but it's just those question marks. But obviously, those question marks are going to come because you just lost one of the best, the best players in the MLB. So you're obviously going to get those unfair question marks. But you look at the games of Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, and obviously they've proven that they can play and win. Obviously in the MLB, and they've done it for a decent amount of time. And I'm really excited to see how they play. I think you got it from the spring. Obviously Bellinger had a great spring, hit a couple homers. I think he had he hit in 300s for batting average. I'm pretty sure.
I think it might even be close to 400.
Yes, high 300. So he's been playing great this spring. Goldschmidt's a veteran, so he's not going to get much playing time in spring. But you obviously saw some big plays he made from the plate, and he'll probably get a lot of run at DH too, split with Judge. If you got to remember, Goldschmidt's on a cheap deal. It's a 1-year deal, so it's a low risk, I think, high reward for him. I think he gets a lot of hate. He really hit a terrible first half, but second half last year, he really picked it up. And, he's said he figured out what he had to do differently. So I think he could be well. You also have to think, look at the first base play the Yankees had, these past couple of years, I mean, they ranked last. So it's like, I mean, honestly, how much worse could that play get? It's almost like we've seen as bad as it could get. It's like it's got to at least be better than what we were getting. And I'd be surprised if Goldschmidt really like hit terrible. I mean, yeah, he might not have that MVP or even close to like the all-star level he was, but I mean, even if he hits like 240, 250s and like 20, if he could get to 20 home run, I mean, that's better than last year. And he's got a great glove it in defense. So it's like, man, to get another, veteran guy in that clubhouse too for the young guys we're talking that are up now, Rice, obviously Volpe, and Dominguez. So I mean, my expectations are, I think the acquisitions we got will step up. I do think Bellinger will have a good year. I keep talking to my friends saying that I think Bellinger will hit 25 homers. I think he could possibly get to that mark. I mean, left-handed bat, I love his swing. And obviously he's plays well in the field. And I think Goldschmidt I think he could have a decent year for the Yankees. I really do. I think he's a good defender. He's still got his swing that's, gotten him his career in the big leagues. And then, I mean, Wells is killing it right now, so I hope he could stay with it. And I mean, the rotation. I mean, Stroman, Yankees were statistically like one of the worst defending teams last year, and Stroman's a ground ball pitcher. So, I mean, realistically, Stroman, I don't think he could have a terrible year this year. I mean, our defense is better. So, I mean, if him and Carrasco somehow pitch just like average on the mound, I mean, I think the team could surprise some people this year. I think there's a lot of negative narratives going around about the Yankees and obviously losing Soto, but I really think the team could surprise a lot of people, and I can't wait. I always love when we get new players. It's always exciting. How they will perform, especially the all-star level guys we got. Just seeing obviously them playing on opposing teams. So it's always exciting to see how they'll come to New York and play. So I'm really excited, and I got good expectations for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm expecting, somewhere between 85 and 90 wins. I think we can be right there for competing for the division. We haven't even talked about Devin Williams like at all. He's going to be our closer the entire season, and he's going to be locked down the entire season. We don't have to worry about cardiac play anymore. Let him go be a starting pitcher with the Mets, who love to steal our players. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge thing as well that will secure us some more wins, having him and Weaver back there at the back end of the bullpen. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things to look forward to. We have an improved defense, improved, speedy guys, hopefully better base running. And I think the floor is higher than some people might think. But yeah, I'm ready for the season. Absolutely. Obviously we got to be optimistic as, super fans, but really I don't see us being a bad team this year. So yeah, we're ready for opening day.
Exactly. We're ready, and I think, I just can't wait. It's crazy. It's like the season's already here, and probably some of it's coming off last season, like we making the World Series. So it's like how will this season play out? But I do think I really like this team, and we had those injuries too. So man, if like these guys step up and then just think, we'll be getting Probably Stanton back. Luis Heel. I mean, Clark Schmidt, and like I don't like it's this season should be exciting, and who knows? I mean, it could be even more exciting than last year. I mean, look on paper, we obviously Soto, but like we got more not high level players, but we got a decent amount of guys this year. Obviously, the injuries have taken a toll on that, but it's like there's a lot of guys that we should be excited for. I mean, last year it was Soto, and that's a big name, but I guess what I'm getting at is there's a lot of avenues, obviously a lot of question marks, but there's a lot of things that I think Yankees fans should be excited for, and there's going to be a lot to look after, and obviously a lot for us to talk about, which will be a good thing. And I think if I would say 2025 Yankees, I think they would be a gritty group of guys right now. You got a mix of veterans who have been almost counted out, and then you got some of the young guys mixed in. So, and we got Carrasco and the crew in the rotation, going to be grinding out this summer. So, I'm excited, and hopefully we could get to a couple games in person, and see how these teams win. I know it's been a while since we recorded an episode. Been very busy through this summer and the start of the year, but we think hopefully we'll get these rolling again. Obviously on the social medias we've been consistent on Instagram, so we'll get this rolling hopefully for the start of the season, and probably most likely an episode a week, just recapping what the Yankees are up to.
Yeah, guys, we are excited to be back for the 2025 season. Yeah, can't wait to see how things go.
Well, that's it. Opening day tomorrow. Got the Brewers, Nestor Cortez revenge series. Brewers money line. I'm just kidding.
All right.
We'll see you boys.
See you guys later.